I'm going to do a reading, not a reading, but an energy of the twin flame journey. Because again, there's these weird ideas that there's these rules to the twin flame journey. And there are some rules, but they're not rules that you might understand. Numerology is a huge part of the twin flame journey. The moon, the moon splitting in half and moving towards the same moon, like one piece. You're the big puzzle. You're my broken piece of my heart. That's not going to guarantee you a twin flame. It takes a lot more. And even now, as because no matter what you think, as long as you're talking on a daily basis to your twin, technically you're in union. Especially if you're talking in ways that are productive and honoring of each other, which some twin flames are literally in separation because of circumstances. It has nothing to do with runner chaser at all. And this is, again, this incredible weird dynamic. Suddenly everyone's a twin flame expert. I've been on the journey since I was 18 years old. I came into final union with my twin. We went from flame to ray. And it's not a flex. I didn't think it was going to happen. And if you look back at my videos from last year, back in early in 2023 of say March, April, you'll hear me say, I don't think we're going to make it to that point, but in this life or the next, I surrender. So I've walked the walk and I talk the walk. And that's what makes me different than a lot. And me and Andromeda Flame are both in twin ray journeys. My twin crossed over earlier this year, and we are still in union. We are still doing work. And those who have followed me for a long time know they can actually feel his energy when I'm doing a live, for example, or a reading. They can feel that he's present, and so can I. So I'm not going to go too much into my own personal journey because this is not about me. It's about to make you understand this journey and to realize that there are a lot of nefarious activities behind the twin flame to confuse it. We are not cookie cutter of each other at all. Your recognition of your twin is different. When I met my twin, numerology was not part of my journey. I was 18 and it was in 1980s and we were not, do you understand? Numerology and those kinds of subtleties were not there. And they would have started in the 90s, to be honest, the numerology. And if you were lucky, you would have noticed it. As my twin was noticing a lot of numbers, patterns, things of like. He was an incredible pattern recognizer. He understood patterns in the esoteric world. I understand patterns in human psychology. That's where I go. So both of us were really a good match to understanding patterns from different perception psychology. That's where I go. So both of us were really a good match to understanding patterns from different perception experiences. When people tell you 5 signs that you're a twin flame, it's a dangerous place to go because, and again, I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer. I'm here to give you some fucking facts from not just my personal experience, but I've talked to thousands, over 20,000 clients in the last 5 years. And I'm not joking when I say that. So, I didn't see or feel any signs when meeting TF for the first time. No, neither did I. Clearly, neither did him. It was like we recognized each other. We were not introduced to each other. And I get different things. I know Mel Brand, when he first met his twin Ray, they had sex within 24 hours. Now with a twin Ray, it's interesting how often I hear that. And I don't have that many twin Rays under my hat, just so you know. The twin rays, let me give you an idea of how many I know personally. Hang on. I think at this point, 5. Total of 5 on the fucking planet that I've met, okay? And these twin rays, each of them have the same story, which I thought fascinating, which is being recycled in the twin flame journey, which is bullshit. And this is why many of you are confused, because you're going to listen to, content creators like Cora from Cora, who are going to say shit about the twin flame journey, and you're going to look at yourself going, well, that's not my journey. Well, no shit, you're not a twin ray. And many people are repackaging the twin ray reality into a twin flame story. Finally, because people like me, Remy, Mel Brand, and other people like us have spoken. We've gone very public about the twin flame journey and saying what a fucking shit show it can be. It is an emotional fucking roller coaster on steroids plus 1,000 times more worse than that. The dark night of the soul on a twin flame journey is something that we can't even quantify. We can't even express. There are no words to express the pain. That's number one. But the ticket price to that is massive transcendental ascension. For real. And especially if you survive yourself, if you get my drift. So what I find interesting and very very concerning to me and to the drama, and very very concerning to me and to the drama and flame. We're both concerned about it, but it's like people have to make their decisions. Is people getting 100,000 views on 5 steps that you're a twin flame. Make their decisions. Is people getting 100,000 views on 5 steps that you're a twin flame. The moon, a half a moon, and this moon and that moon, it makes you a twin flame. That's not how it works. Because you see, my karma is not your karma. Your karma is not my karma. My twin's karma is not my karma. Really. Until I enmesh myself in his daily life. Then his karma becomes my karma and vice versa. I hope you guys understand that, right? I can give you a good example, a few actually, if you'd like. And let me know in the comments if you want me to give you an example of what I mean by when you enmesh yourself with someone. It actually doesn't matter if it's a twin flame. Anyone. When you enmesh yourself with someone's reality and negative karma, or positive, it becomes part of your karmic, experience. So let me see if anyone wants me to give you an example, because I'm more than happy to do it. Part of your karmic, experience. So let me see if anyone wants me to give you an example, because I'm more than happy to do it. I didn't bargain for how much karma he had. No shit. Exactly. And so when I do numerology, when I do readings, I was going to do a numerology clinic today, and I'm really sorry. Some shit came up and I had to handle it. But hopefully tomorrow I can do it if you'd like me to do a numerology clinic. But when you do numerology, okay, one of the things I notice is that one twin's numbers are fucked. Typically, but not always. Sometimes both numbers come out. And I don't mean life path. I'm much more involved. I've been doing numerology since 1994. And so in fact, numerology is how I chose my son's name, and even holding on tight before he was born to make sure he was born on a certain day. I'm not joking. I did not have a C-section. I just willed it. It's either that day, this day, or that day. Because I wanted him to get every gift you can give a human being that is going to be your child, okay? And that included his name. The name, I sat down and went through various versions of names to make sure that the numerology would be at the highest frequency to give him the highest, start, good luck start. It's like giving somebody $100,000 and writing them a check for that, and they get it at 18, that kind of thing. And what was interesting for me is that life still happens, which I've realized throughout this incarnation, is like you can have, and Hilary Swank is a perfect example of that. Hilary Swank, I'm not going to do her numerology because I don't have it in front of me, but I did it before in one of my numerology clinics. But suffice it to say, her karma was to be homeless in her car with her mother. But it was also her karma to actually win an Oscar. The karma of the African man in the Gladiator movie, the first one, the good one, his karma was to be in Paris metros homeless. His karma was also to be in an Oscar-winning movie. In other words, life doesn't stop because you have good numbers. Life continues, and these experiences are given to you for a reason. You're never punished. But why? Why is that done? Well, the beautiful aspect about having good numbers is that you're not going to be crushed by it for the rest of your life. It's not your karma to just hang on to survive until you drop your body. Some people, the problem is some people will get into massive addiction, in massive depression and despair, because they think that that is going to last forever. And so one of the reasons why these numbers are so important to me, like 23, 24, for example, is because I want the person to know if you're not having a good life, if you're still, at the age of 45, 55, still kicking rocks with mediocrity, it's because of you, not your numbers. You were given, when you were incarnated, right before you came in, You must have done well because your numbers are excellent, for example, right? And I'll say to them, so if you're not enjoying life's fruits, then you're the one fucking up with the monkey mind. And at that point, we need to talk about a whole discipline, rigorous training to get your monkey mind controlled. Because really the monkey mind, see, it's not Earth that's a prison planet. It's the monkey mind. Whatever the monkey mind has you believing, whether it's good or bad, and typically it's never good because the monkey mind is always in fear, in control, it's subjugating you. It's not feeling like it's doing it in the wrong way. It's like a bad parent. You know, toxic parents, they love you in their way, but they do things to prevent you from having a wonderful life filled with beautiful opportunities. Similar to parents, you know, forcing their kids to go into law school when you've got yourself a Picasso on your hands, for example, you know, it's for the lack of a better example. And so this twin flame community that has grown exponentially, and a lot of these twin flame coaches are coming out of twin flame universe. And and if you are, as a psychic, and I'm not sure a lot of them are psychics, to be honest. I mean, we're all psychics. Let's just get that straight. But many of us know how to tap into that skill set. I won't call them gifts, skill set. The problem is that they're coaching not having lived it. And it's like me reading half the book or a quarter of a book and then telling you all about the rest of the story. And the irony is that until you've gone through all the nuances with clients, with yourself personally, you're not going to know what to do for even yourself to bring a person into union. And there are things that one has to do to bring a twin into union. And one is, and this is the one people don't like, is absolute unconditional surrender to the path of igniting yourself into your mission. With or without your twin. That's one of the things. One of many things, of course. And there are disciplinary actions that you need to take for yourself to actually grow your power. Never is a twin flame in separation because of anything else but that you will not grow to the level that you need to be of service to yourself, to your twin, to those you love, and to the collective. That's number one. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm shocked at how many are coaching and they're not in union. I'm shocked at how many are coaching and they've just started their first union. And the question to me would be, are you a twin flame or twin ray? If you find, and there are very few of them on the planet, I'm going to be, okay? If you find a twin ray couple, the thing about twin rays, which I adore, is that they can never really understand your problems. But their wisdom, the wisdom is that they may sit in sacred space with you and tell you where you're fucking up bad because they are highly advanced souls, okay? Or they've gone through the shit show, okay? The reason why me and Andromeda are twin rays, and me in particular, is we are preschool level twin rays, preschool. We're nowhere near Yeshua and Mary of Magdalena. Do you understand? No way near. Like, I would never be so insulting and arrogant to think so. But we did cross the Rubicon, right? We crossed this bridge and we're at a certain point. But one of the things we both know, and I particularly know, is the egoic framework that separates the divine masculine and feminine from being in union and the outside forces of these nefarious energies that don't want to see us in union, okay, at all. And it's not unusual for some of us who are older to come into union and permanently and do the massive work which will benefit us in the next incarnation on other realms, other dimensions. But the union is not a 3, 4, 5, 6 year union. I've had my 6-year union with my twin. 5 to 6 years, I'm trying to remember. Because we were never for long in separation. Separations would be 8 days. And we always lived together, just so you know, until we had a massive separation for 3. And that was the turning point of my twin coming into the dark night of the soul. And something else I've noticed is that the sacred masculine has to be, as the sacred feminine needs to, be ground to dust. The ego has to be ground to dust. That's not the same thing as being a welcome mat. Those are completely different types of energies. Being ground to dust means your ego is no longer, your monkey mind is no longer in charge of your actions. Your actions will leap out of your heart chakra from a place of integrity and truth. Whereas before, you might not call, you may block this and that and the other. So what I want to say to you is that when you're looking for a twin flame coach, right, you need to really look at not just, well, they're more my age, or they're more in my league, or I understand them more. You have to ask yourself, like, have they fucking walked it all the way to the end of the line? And most of them can't say that. And that is an issue that I find concerning. And to be honest with you, this is going to sound really fucked up, and it probably is actually fucked up, is I don't need for you guys to be in union for me anymore. I've done my work. My twin and I are in union. I need you to do it for my son. There's a difference there. I'm doing it for my son so that we have a planet that is in abundance of freedoms and generosity and kindness. Does that make sense? Am I doing it for you? Yes, if you want me to. But to be honest with you, whether or not you believe in my integrity is none of my concern, so much as I hope that you will do it for the understanding that when you heal my son, and when he heals you. In these dynamics of the sacred masculine and feminine. And what encompasses, because again, there's this confusion, giving out the title of DM and DF like it's candy canes or, shit like that. It's something you earn by walking your shadows, by looking in the mirror and saying, I'm fucked up. I'm so fucked up. Why would I do this? Or why do I have these looping negative self-talk? Or whatever the hell, why am I dealing with depression? Whatever it is. A DF and a DM means I am looking at my pain. I'm taking full responsibility for my pain. I'm going into talk therapy, Reiki sessions. I'm running. I'm doing whatever the fuck it takes. But I can't be this anymore. I need to be better. That is the definition of the DF and a DM. That's it. That's that. It's that simple. As long as somebody is in denial, ghosting, gaslighting, denying their own shadows, pointing the finger at you, saying you're the problem, that is not a DF or DM. That is a broken masculine or feminine, a wounded feminine or masculine. It is not a DF or DM. That is a broken masculine or feminine, a wounded feminine or masculine. Do you understand the difference? And again, these terms, and maybe I should do content a little short, because I'm trying to do content for you guys that are like 60 seconds, because I know the attention span of the average person is like, crickets. It's like, boom, I'm here, I'm there. And I'm being honest with you, because I have that problem too. We are being trained to have very low level of focused, disciplinary attention to things that could actually help us. And so when I ask a client to read this book, that book, this other book, it's kind of like pulling teeth, not because they're not intelligent. In fact, most of them are very intelligent. It's because we have been trained in the last, I'd say, especially during COVID lockdown, with very short attention spans, because we were bored in lockdowns, in our homes, apartments, not allowed to, I don't know where you live, but many, many places, people weren't allowed to fucking go hiking, go swimming, go jogging. Those days were gone. And hopefully you remember that. And that would have put you into having a relationship with your phone on a level that is not the healthiest, to be honest. But it did bring a lot of people to an awakeness. They woke up. But we're always looking for something more exciting to look at. And there's a point where, again, you have to bring yourself back to discipline. A word that very few people like. And I understand, because I don't like that word either. But it is about honoring your understanding that your ability to focus on the very subject matter that is causing you harm and pain, to understand the steps and the expectation from the universe and your own soul contract with yourself and your twin and others, by the way. So if you're married to other people, right, let's say, and you're talking to your twin every day, you are essentially in union. You're not living together, paying the rent, I get it, or paying a mortgage or whatever. But you're not fighting. It's just that there's circumstances that have kept you in separation because you have other soul contracts. You're responsible for other little people, your children, for example, their children, for example, or even a karmic looping of a pattern with a soul contract with the wrong spouse. And that is going to create a looping that they have to see. You can't give them that knowledge because, let's be honest, they're going to just think you're jealous. You see? And they're not going to believe you because you have an ulterior motive, which in a way you do. You do. You want them to pick you. You want them to live with you. You want, in other words, you want to bridge. If I'm going to leave my marriage, I need to bridge. Now, I'm not applauding people leaving marriages, okay, at all. In fact, quite often, in my case, I was very lucky in that for almost 27 plus years, I was shielded from my twin flames energy, shielded, because I had unfinished business to finish with the person I was married to and the son that would, come from the fruits of our love. And eventually some toxic things that needed to be addressed needed to be done in a separate way, and were. So my point to you is that these marriages need to be honored and need to be understood. You can't stay in a marriage and feel frustrated and angry at your spouse because you feel like they're blocking your energies to be with your twin. That is a bullshit move. Is it normal? Yes. Is it bullshit? Yes. You have to ask yourself, I'm here now. I'm here now. And here now is my beloved. Yes, your high-level soulmate, husband, wife can be your beloved. And I'm here now. Today I will make love to them like it's the last day on earth. I'm here now. And that's going to be very important for you on this journey of integrity. Not to mention, we know how sexuality heals people in general. Good sexuality, healthy sexuality heals. Just like negative, toxic sexuality can destroy. It's interesting, isn't it? So if you are in a marriage that is massively toxic, massively, and your twin will not commit to you, will not do the moves to make it so that you can bridge from one marriage to another, that is harmful to you, and you want a sure thing, you want that bridge laid out with the red carpet from your twin going, come on, leave your marriage, come on here, that is faulty. Because you're supposed to, and the universe is asking you, leave the marriage for yourself. For yourself. Twin or not. What happens if your twin gets, I'm not being funny, hit by a bus? Killed in a car accident. Within a week after you move out. Then what? You're going to run back to your husband? Really? Or wife? Is that what you're going to do? And so when you leave, you have to leave for yourself. And the universe is very, very specific about that. Have some of us bridged from one marriage to another? Yes, but we probably paid a lot of karma and we wrapped up some debts, some contracts that would allow that to happen. But for many of you, that will not be your story. And for many, it could be your story. But the point is, when you leave, you have to leave for yourself. And that's it. And that's that. And you have to be honest. If you have a beloved, high-level soulmate that loves the shit out of you and you love them, but you feel pulled that you need to be with your twin, meaning it's a monkey mind pull, not a true pull. Because if it was a true pull, let me tell you what would happen. Suddenly, your husband or wife would be getting a job offer that they can't say no to in Spain or in another state, like 5 states down. And you'd be like, I can't, I don't want to leave, actually. I don't want to live in Kansas, or I don't want to live X, Y, and Z. And that would actually be the final shredding of the relationship, because you would be seeing the universe literally ending the marriage by simply putting a series of circumstances in front of you that you can't control. It could even be that your high-level soulmate spouse falls in love with someone else and asks for the divorce. And at that point, game over with your marriage. It's fucking over. And at that point, you might be free to come to your twin, but your twin is still married, or your twin is with a new girlfriend, a boyfriend, or they've left the country, or they're 5 states down, or whatever, wherever. And it's not quite time yet. Why? Because you have to excavate your marriage, your relationship with this person. You have to heal that. You have to forgive yourself and forgive your spouse. You have to let go. You have to be free. You have to be clear to the energy. And the problem with many twins, to be honest, are many of them are ensconced in 3D logical minds. And these logical minds spin in this idea that what they see and what they feel on a logical consciousness or approach is correct, when you and I both know that it is absolutely not correct. Ultimately, what I want you to understand is that when you go through this journey, okay, numerology is going to be a big part of it, as well as your zodiac sign. There are signs to that. And there's other factors. There's a lot of factors, actually. And so that's going to be massive. And I try not to say too much in case you want a reading with me. Here's why. Because I don't want to feed you the lines. Because when I ask you, okay, do you see this? Do you see that? I want you to tell me. I don't want you to answer it because you heard me say what I'm looking for. I'm very careful about that, because to diagnose somebody who is a twin flame is a massive responsibility. Today, I did an Akashic reading with a twin flame in separation. And in his case, it's probably not going to be in this incarnation. It could be, because I used to think it wasn't going to be in mine, to be honest. It could be. But I've been telling him for quite some time, this is not going to happen, because the person's toxic as fuck, okay? But I did do an Akashic reading for him today, and he's a divine masculine. Again, to define it, it means a man, in this case, who is looking at his shadows, who's looking at his past, who doesn't want to be what he was, and wants to come out of 3D mindsets and actually do a 180 again and again and again, going up the spiral staircase of ascension, evolution, and shedding those shadows. So one of the incarnations he had that was fascinating, and I'll share it with you, and I always share with you Akashic readings, because I always ask the question, how did they fall from high dimensions to 3D? And in this case, he was an Anunnaki. He looked like an African. He was 6'8", and he was incredibly powerful, had armor. And because he was so tall, he was coming onto this realm. It was not planet Earth. It was a different realm of a different planet, and realms of consciousness, high dimensions, 7D, for example. And he entered this hall, the Great Hall of Wisdom, as it was called, and there was a woman with long hair down to her waist. She was sitting on a dais, if you will, but she was dressed in very simple tunics, the kind of things you would have seen Maria Magdalena wear. No adornments, none, not a ring, not an earring, nothing. And she sat there as the wise one, not a queen. And they were clear to tell me she is not a queen. And I saw that. She was a wise one. And surrounding her were other beings, plasmic beings, see-through beings. You understand what I mean? Not of this earth, not even in matter, even on the highest dimensions of what they were. Like, she was of matter. He was of matter. What kind of matter? I don't know. I can't say it was the matter that we're made of here, honestly. But what I saw was him bending the knee to her, because he was so tall that to give her respect and to look up, the illusion of looking up at her for a telepathic communication, he would bend a knee. That to give her respect and to look up, the illusion of looking up at her for a telepathic communication, he would bend a knee. And he was bending the knee to her, and they were reptilians coming in for a ceasefire. I kid you not. And she knew, they all knew, and this African powerhouse knew that these reptilians could not be trusted for nothing. And what I was told was that it was very similar to the Native Americans who were dealing with the American government, when they would say, yeah, we'll sign this treaty, and the Native Americans knew that was bullshit, hence the Trail of Tears, and let's go on and on. I don't have to go into it. You get the picture. But it was similar in energy. Okay? They knew. Now, what was interesting about her is that she had a forehead just like you and me. But when she would pay attention to see, quote unquote see, her third eye would appear right in the middle of her forehead. And she was picking up on things that she could not see with these eyes. Even at the highest level of dimension, believe it or not, it was more intense. It reminded me of the three crones in Odyssey, where they all had the eye of knowledge. I don't know if you guys remember the Odyssey by Homer with the eye of knowledge. They all shared one eye. I don't know if you know that. It was like a marble or something. Anyway, she was an incredibly compassionate, wise soul in a feminine body. They're telling me to tell you also, in the highest levels of these consciousness and these dimensions, you'll find that all of these people are, or I'm going to call them sentient beings, okay, are all from levels of power, beauty. Quite often, even the reptilians have something of a charismatic presence. And they are, the reason why they are on that level is that at that level, you don't need to go. I'm going to make it stupid, actually. It's really dumb, actually. But they don't have to go to the gym, because I kept asking them. I asked them in my connection with the Akashic record keepers, why are they always looking like that? And they said, well, because it's a different dimension. Just men are men in that dimension, and women are women, because in the dimension, they can be free to be in balance and actually be in their most feminine, in their most balanced Shakti energy. It is effortless. That was the message I got. And I continued onto the journey. And these reptilians had decided that they were going to, lie, of course, and do the ceasefire. And these sentient beings that are the beginnings, or the first, immigrants, if you will. I use the word immigrants. You see, that's a hot topic. To come onto planet Earth, and they were the Lemurians. They were a gentle people, incredible. It's a hot topic. To come onto planet Earth, and they were the Lemurians. They were a gentle people, incredible. It's a hot topic. To come onto planet Earth, and they were the Lemurians. They were a gentle people, incredible. It's a hot topic. To come onto planet Earth, and they were the Lemurians. They were a gentle people, incredibly beautiful people. And that's why she was trying to figure out how can she delay any more harm to these people on this particular planet. And the whole reason why they were doing these talks, these quote unquote peace talks, where everyone knew it was bullshit, was to delay any more harm so they could airlift as many of these people off planet to safety. And they became the founders, if you will, of Lemuria, the children of Mu. And this happened. The next scene I saw was a white-skinned reptilian from the back, bald, walking as a sentient being, as a humanoid type of energy. White. Why white? Because he was an elder. And this client of mine, who was, let's call him Zenith, Z, let's call him Z. Z felt that to destroy the head of the snake was to destroy this elder reptilian. And from behind, he took a sword, or a short sword, and plunged it at the neck and at the shoulder blade that went down into his heart to take him out. And he thought he was doing the right thing. It had not been sanctioned by the Galactic Council, if you will. It had not been approved. And so the way he fell is the following. She was sad. She wasn't mad. She wasn't disappointed. She was not angry. She felt only a sense of sadness, because she realized, we cannot have him here. I cannot trust him here. And so she wiped his brain of any memory of his beginnings. And I'm almost smiling because it's a trip. And so there was a lobotomy of his understanding of himself. And they dropped him into a land, not with the Lemurians, because that would have been a higher frequency, into land. And he found his tribe, his people, and he would grow to have children and a wife, and he would grow old, and he would look up at the stars wondering why he felt so bereft, so lost, so homesick. But he never could remember his beginnings. Why would they do that? Well, it's interesting, because in the Gnostic Gospels of being responsible with yourself and taking in responsibility for yourself, which was taken away during the Catholic Church's grabbing these scrolls and creating the Bible as we know it today, they took away self-responsibility. I will absolve you of your sin, if you donate money, if you do this, if you do that. But also in the energy of the book, I believe it was Journey of Souls, or it could have been Destiny of Souls, where the question, which is a very intelligent question, what do they do with serial killers? And when they die, right? Well, you're not allowed to be in your soul group because, first of all, you're not a frequency match, number one, which resonated like you wouldn't believe. I was like, no shit. Okay, I don't want that person around me. If God forbid they would be a part of my soul group. That's why, on the side note, when I call on my ancestors, I'll call on my ancestors from this life, past lives, future incarnations, that only want love, to give me love. Call on my ancestors from this life, past lives, future incarnations, that only want love, to give me love. Call on my ancestors from this life, past lives, future incarnations, that only want love, to give me love, kindness, and protection, that have integrity in being my ancestors, okay, from this life, past lives, and future incarnations. They're called all bloodlines and dimensions and so forth. I'm pretty specific. I don't just call into my ancestors. Like, no. Because you could bring in some really, I mean, fuck, you have ancestors right now. You know, your Uncle Bobby can't be trusted with the car. Remember Rocky? Okay, anyway, let's move on. And so, in it, with the car. Remember Rocky? Okay, anyway, let's move on. And the serial KILLER, because I'm not going to attempt to, because I'm being shadow banned like you wouldn't believe with TikTok. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. But they do not, and they will not allow these sentient beings to be near you and your soul group. You're protected. And what happens, these sentient beings to be near you and your soul group. You're protected. And what happens is there's a whole process of cleansing and clearing the samskaras, right? The impressions that created such a human being. Usually, if a person has been in war and find themselves in a situation where they become warriors, right? You will get, I can't even be politically correct and say this to you, but you will turn into some kind of deviant, brutal warrior, if you get my drift, okay? I'm thinking of Highlander, the movie, actually, with Sean Connery, if you get my drift. Anyway, if you don't, sorry. I'm not going to go further than that. Hopefully you can clue in. And they will, when you drop your body in that consciousness, say from battles, years and they will, when you drop your body in that consciousness, say from battles, years and 30, 40 years of battles, they will assume that you can actually figure the shit out, that this was wrong. But if you can, and you keep perpetuating that kind of energy, you're not coming back to your soul tribe until you've been cleaned, purged, and you're purified. I'll say the word purified. And so with him, he had been dropped on planet Earth. He did this and that and the other. And then he had the next incarnation as a Greek warrior. And so war was definitely something that kept coming up. Did you get that? And this idea of doing something behind someone's back, not challenging the wise ones, but not understanding the wise ones. And the wise ones didn't want to do any harm on the reptilians because the more they could have these talks, the more they would be ceasefire, the more they could airlift those people who would become what we would call the Lemurians. That's what it was all about. None of them were naive or stupid. They knew exactly that they couldn't trust them. That was why these peace talks of the ceasefire kept them at bay so they could get as many people off planet. And eventually that planet was destroyed. Because the repercussion of him having done that, this is why she was sad, not disappointed, not angry, sad, was to lobotomize him because it would have been the kindest thing to do, spiritually lobotomize him and drop him on planet Earth. And it hit me as I was getting the download. Oh my God, that's where they got this concept of the prison planet. Because prison planet is very similar to how this country, America, was used. Every criminal in England, and you know this, was being indentured and sent to the Americas or to Australia. It was like, you're not going to be part of our society. You're dangerous. You're nefarious. You're a whore. Whatever the fuck it was, you're getting the fuck off our land, and we're going to drop you off in Australia or America, right? You remember that. I hope you do. Anyway, so it was very similar to that. And the next incarnation, so most of his incarnations had to do with manipulation and impulsivity and impatience. Because you see, he could have telepathically communicated to this wise one, the woman with the long hair and the robes that looked like Mary Magdalene, a beautiful, Mary Magdalena type of energy, if you know what I mean. And certainly she wasn't coming off as a high priestess, but he could have said, what is your, I don't know, speak to me like I'm 12 because I'm really getting frustrated here. And I figure if I do this, it will save all of us. And she could have said, no, if you do this, it will fuck everything up. The more we have peace talks, the more we have time to remove, literally get as many people, sentient beings off this planet as possible. And because there was an arrogance to his warrior energy, Anunnaki, again, not all Anunnakis are bad, as you know. I hope you know this. Some Anunnakis really meant well, but there was this energy, what I will say, from all the Anunnakis I've connected, I've been told, I'm an Anunnaki, by the way, on a side note, so hey, it's not a flex, is that there's this energy of anger, impatience, jealousy, brutality, of revengefulness, vengeful, I'm going to get you. Things of that nature, which is, there is others, there's creativity, there's love of beauty, this, that, and the other. Thoth, the Atlantean, is a kind of like, Thoth went from being an Anunnaki with these kinds of characteristics I just described. And if you read the Emerald Tablet, which I have, you can go on my YouTube page and see me reading it. He grew up and he was able to take the 7 boulders of his behaviors that were negative at the end of the day, with all that he knew. And there's this weird idea that when you go into 7D or 6D, I will be kumbaya walking on water. Well, you probably could walk on water. However, that will not guarantee you being a person of light, a being of light. And we've seen that again and again. It's interesting how we're clarifying this. So he asked me the most interesting question. There's a lot more I could share with you, but let's go back. He said, so will I be, because he was very concerned with being judged by this woman who he really respected. He asked, of course, the obvious question, was that my lover? No, she was not. Is she my guide? No, she was not. No, she was not any of those things. She was a ruler. She was one of the wise ones who made decisions, and you were her servant. You did what she required, and you went behind her back and fucking pulled some shit. So one of the things that was interesting, and my mind is reeling because it's brand new, is that they're telling me to share with you the story because I also, when I do downloads on the Akashic, it starts out usually, not always, with spirit animals. And the first spirit animal he had was a puma, a very, very big, powerful puma. Sometimes they're small. In his ears, listen to this, his ears of the puma were pierced with bells, tiny little bells. Now, what does that mean? Well, you get ear ringing, right? Right? You get ear ringing, and is a spiritual download. You're being upgraded. You're being asked to pay attention. But it also implies distraction. It implies distraction of not hearing the voices of reason, the voices of the wise one, your guides. And so it was a double kind of, it was like the face of Janus, meaning a happy face, angry face. And it's that duality of the bell when the ear ringing comes up, right? And you're like, I must be downloaded. Yeah, but what were you thinking right before the ear ringing happened? Where were you thinking? Where was your mind at? What did it try to say to you? And sometimes it is distraction. He also got, as a spirit animal, the dragon, indigo dragon. Now, there was a lot of blue. It's funny because I've been going through this blue period right now with my AI creations, right? A lot of blue. And on the side note, when me and my twin came into union, I have to share this. Literally in 2008, I was in meditation working on I work on all my chakras, on my throat chakra. I've said this so many times, I apologize for repeating myself if you're a follower. But I saw him walking in the sand in a tunic and bedwood headdress in white, and I thought he had crossed over, and it wasn't. It was the dream that said he's coming, he's walking towards you. So blue, Angel Michael is connected with blue, right? Indigo blue. So what does the dragon mean? Well, it's mystical, it's magical. And I used to think, as you probably do, that it was not real, that it was just, a myth that had gone from China to Japan to Europe and so on. But actually, they existed. And not only did they exist on this planet, but most importantly, they exist in the etheric. How do I know? Because when I did a particular hypnotherapy session for myself, and it was an LBL, I saw, and I was shocked. I was going up this quartz crystal staircase, barefoot, by the way, and I looked up and I went, oh my God. And I saw the dragons in a rotunda, like this incredible planetarium type of wild dragons flying with unicorns. I was in shock, because there's no way. I don't hypnotize like that. That's not what I see. I see whatever I'm looking to see, or I see things that are brought to me. But this was beyond magic. Again, it was lives between lives, and that's when I saw it. So the dragon is about magic. It's about manifestation. It's about breaking the illusion of limitations. And if you're lucky to have that as a spirit animal, it is your ally. The next animal that came in was the dove turning into the peregrine falcon. It's a small falcon, peregrine. They're beautiful. And what it meant was from peace to love to a soft energy, that the dove could turn into a peregrine falcon, focus, seeing things from a bird's eye view with the intent of harnessing or controlling a foe. So from prey to predator, that kind of thing, which definitely is his personality in this incarnation. These Akashic readings. So he had how many? Hang on, and 5 incarnations. I usually get 5 incarnations in my Akashic readings, and they go. It's so much information. It's mind blowing, and it's going at such a speed. And you have to understand, I'm like meditating for 20 minutes, maybe 25 at most. And then I got to turn off the valve, because then I have to call the client to get it, to deliver the message. But the next one after that was, like I said, the Greek warrior. And after that was, hang on for a quick second. I got to remember. Well, I'm going to jump into the Dutch. And this was why it blew my mind, because he was a Dutch printer. He was a merchant. He had invested in spices. I don't know if you know anything about the Dutch maritime and the merchants, but many of them became very wealthy in spices like cinnamon and pepper and things of that nature. And he had invested well. It's kind of like, think of spices as cryptocurrency today, okay? If you do your right moves on the right ship that's going to dock it doesn't get blown out to sea and fucking crashes and rocks. He was able to become quite wealthy. And so the printing technology for him, again, remember, you had to, I don't know if you know anything about printing in those days, but you had to lay the letters like a mirror, right? And he loved doing that. But he loved doing that not because he was giving the message of clarity. He was getting the message out to the populace of learning how to harness people's fears. And that is interesting to me. And he would do that. Instead of giving coherent, beautiful, he was a Puritan, by the way, Dutch. Lutheran is what I saw, a Lutheran, believe it or not. The black broadcloth outfit, the Van Dyke beard, white with shot with blonde. So he was an older 40s guy, 40s, 50s. And his family, he was married to his high-level soulmate. And he had 2 girls and 1 boy, and they had their caps, and they were eating a soup. And he loved to spend hours in his printing press, printing all kinds of crazy ass shit that created weird like wars within people's own hearts. Fear was his message, and so he would hire etchers, artists, to create really crazy art that would, because many of them didn't know how to read in the 1700s or thereabouts. Absolutely horrible looking, torturing a person. And that was a copperplate etching he commissioned with very sparse words, and that went out and it created chaos. It was kind of like insane. And what I said to him, why is this an important incarnation? And he said, fuck, I don't know. No kidding. Who would know that? I said that you have the ability to influence people, and because your ego was entrenched and you were fascinated, you were like a little boy playing with spiders, or putting a spider and a bee in a jar to see who would survive and who would not. You know, that kind of thing. You were very much into manipulation for the wrong reasons. So what do you think that means? That I have to influence people from a place of light? Absolutely, that's exactly what it means. So when you do an Akashic reading with me, and I have to say that, then you're going to get shit you might not want to hear. But the reason why this is important is because at that point, the work is done. Why? Because now you can forgive yourself. And he said to me, in one of the incarnations, he was a Japanese woman. I'm going to finish it with that. And it was snowing, really, really badly snowing. She was wearing cream, tan, and light brown kimono. Not money, but she had a pretty face. And she'd been thrown out of the studio or training center. And I put in quotes, geisha training. She'd been accused of stealing a comb. The comb was nothing. It was horn, carved horn, a comb. And she had denied that she had stolen it, but they knew. And they'd thrown her out in the snow. I mean, without mercy. And I see her pulling out of her kimono, you know, like the band across the belly. And she's looking at this comb. And it's a plain comb carved out of horn. And the village is pretty much empty. Everyone's inside because it's raining not raining. It's snowing really hard. It was weird to see that. And a man comes in with a sword. And I couldn't say he was a samurai, but I know he was a lord. And he saw her and he felt absolutely sad for her, or, you know, empathy for her. And the next thing I knew, she was sitting on her knees on tatami mats with a beautiful garden outside. I could see the outskirts of the garden, like a Zen garden. And she had a very small bowl of either miso, some kind of soup, or something that was warm. And her hands were gelled, and she was just holding the cup. And eventually he said, you can join my servants. And she would go out and buy fish in the market with these other servant, an elderly woman. And she would clean the fish, you know, these big, massive pieces of fish, and clean the house. Eventually they became lovers, and she became pregnant. Now she asked, please, I'm pregnant with your son. She assumed it was a son. And he would not marry her. He would never marry her because, you know, there's a hierarchy in some of these ancient cultures. There was no way he was going to marry fucking a servant, ever, okay? Much less God knows what she was, right? And so in that incarnation, she gave birth to a son. She lived in the household. And eventually that son grew up to resent the fuck out of her because he was a bastard and everyone knew it. And so this son, who was obviously from this Japanese culture, hated his mother and hated her because he was a bastard and it was her fault as far as he was concerned, and was ashamed of himself and her. And he was her entire world. And she died of a broken heart later on, very old. She lived a long time as the servant of the household. And I asked him, why do you think this incarnation was important? He said, well, the lying and the stealing. I go, yeah, but what does it really mean? And he couldn't answer. And I said, you stole something that was inconsequential, a horn comb. You could have dropped it from your kimono and just said, oh, there it is on the floor. You could have done anything, but you held on to that comb and you refused. And then mercy came in the most impossible situation, in a snowstorm, when everyone is inside. Here comes the universe saving you. When you got pregnant and you heard him say, I will never marry you, you should have believed him the first time, don't you think? He went, yeah, you're right. I said, what do you think you should have done? He said, I should have gone. Pregnant, right? Yep, I should have gone villages down, and just lied and said that I was married, I was a widow, and raised my kid, and he would have never been harmed. And I would have still had a wonderful relationship with my son, because he would have thought his father died. And I said, well, you could have made up anything, right? No one would have known. Who would know? No one. So I said to him, it's interesting how the universe protected you while you had stolen the comb and gave you a portal out through magic with this Lord that came upon you in the snow. But how you weren't going to be proactive, and you waited and waited for years, hoping the Lord would change his mind to marry you and to make you to honor you. And in that incarnation, he had thought of committing, you know what, harikari many times and did not. Why? Because she had a son and she had to stay alive for that son. And so what's the theme here? We're seeing a theme of impulsivity for the wrong moves. We're seeing a theme of not seeing opportunities and trusting the universe when it's time. Trusting the wise ones. Trusting that you now are wealthy and you could write anything you want. You could actually create anything you want and help people, but instead you manipulated fear. In the snow, you could have, you know what I mean? You were given, mercy. The universe sent you somebody to save you from being frozen. And so, but you didn't trust the universe when this person, a lord, said, I will never marry you. You waited, hoping that they would change their mind instead of taking your fate in your own hands and going, I'm out of here. Fuck this. I'm pregnant. The universe will bring me something else, another situation. Could have been anything, anyone. It could have even been a fisherman falling in love with her and saying, marry me, and I'll say it's my kid. Any number of things could have happened. Any number. But the stubbornness of this Japanese woman thinking, if I stay, eventually I will get what I want, is an arrogant point of view, and it's a self-destructive point of view. And there's apathy in there. And it's not to put it down. It's to say, because it certainly sounds like it, but I'm trying to make sure that you understand that there is discernment and judgment. Why did I do that when I could have done this? Why did I not understand the gifts I was given and instead squandered them with my ego, wanting a thing this way and not that way? And this is something that is very relevant. It's knowing when to pack your shit and go. And this is something that is very relevant to all of us today. It's knowing when to pack your shit and go. It's knowing when to leap into space and land on your feet. It's actually knowing, because if anything is done by revenge, by jealousy, by envy, by greed, by any level, it is the wrong move. But when you do things from a place of faith in the universe, then you'll always land on your feet, for real. And that's the message. And so for him, the takeaway was, when will I be allowed to go back to what I was? Meaning that beautiful African Anunnaki, right? And Anunnakis come in all colors, and this is already established, okay? Just in case somebody wants to say something crazy, okay, right now. But anyway, as this incredible being that's 6'8", he said, when can I go back to that? And I said, why would you want to come back to that? Why would you want to return? That's 6'8". He said, when can I go back to that? And I said, why would you want to come back to that? Why would you want to return to that original consciousness? Well, because he wanted to be seen and accepted, right? And I said to him, that's not, I said, look, here, visualize the letter U. You see the top of the letter? This is where you were, okay? You were up there at the letter U on one side of the letter. And then you fell and you hit rock bottom, 3D, which is the bottom of the letter U. You don't want to go back, my friend. You want to go up, back up into 7D with a new consciousness, a new understanding, a new evolution, a revolution in your evolution of never pulling this kind of shit again. Why would you ever want to go back to that consciousness? He said, will she ever come to me? She may not. I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you and make it up. I do know that she was one of the many figures in your life, and many, many figures, because you didn't ask me about your life in when you were an Anunnaki. You didn't ask me the lovers you had as a Greek warrior. And I'm sure there was some significance to that. You didn't ask me about your high-level soulmate in that incarnation, right? The lovers. That was going to come up. And I asked, is it a twin flame? I got no answer. None. And I said that to him. I'm not here to answer all your questions, nor is the Akashic keepers here to answer all our questions. What they do is they say, these are the things they need to understand. They need to master X, Y, and Z. Do I have Akashics where the twin flame comes up? Absolutely. And that's because that's relevant to the lesson that they have to learn, that a particular client has to learn. But does that happen every time? Hell no, it doesn't. Because what's relevant is this, right here, right now. Be here now. What are you not doing for yourself? And so we talked about the concept of selfishness that is untoxic. How does that mean? In other words, there are things that he's going through, which I won't go into. And let me put it this way. There are things that we are going through where you have to sit in meditation and go, am I giving my oxygen to everyone else but myself? Am I depleting my energy to such a level because I want to please everyone and I want them to respect me and love me? And am I so busy performing for them, excuse me, that I'm forgetting to perform for me? Meaning I have to laser focus. Many of us are going through situations where we have to make some very, very hard decisions. And it's going to be very difficult, okay? And we cannot be distracted. Remember the bells in the ears? We cannot be distracted by bullshit and people's egos and their complex desires for you to be a certain way and you're not. This is when you have to shut them down and go, love you all, leave me the fuck alone, I got shit to do. And in that moment of selfishness, quote unquote, and I'm putting in quotation marks, selfishness, you actually become the kind of man or woman that everyone who is looking up to you for guidance, you will become that for them. But you can't do it if you're catering and literally diluting your energy for everyone. At some point, you have to cut off the valves of overgiving and overgive to yourself in a very selfish way, meaning I need to focus on myself. Don't make it a habit, though. And once you go into your path and you're aligned with your path and the universe is giving you everything you need, because that's the message, that the universe is aligned with you and you're aligned with the universe, then you open the valves again and go, okay, I can give again. But you can't overgive if you're stripped to the bone. You cannot. You can want to, but that doesn't mean that you'll successfully be able to do it. Does that make sense? And so that's going to be very important. You get the information that helps you the most at the current time. Exactly. Just so you know. So it's not anything. Like I said, I have clients who say that and they're correct. And I have clients who insist on that and they're not correct. Just so you know. So it's not anything at all. The reason I ask this question is not for anyone to be defensive. It's to save your fucking life. Okay? Because some twins have gotten cancer, they've gotten sick, and they're waiting and waiting night of the souls that lasts for fucking years. So when I say that on a live, don't get offended at all. I'm asking you for a reason. Do you know for a fact? Do you know what the signs are? And I get righteously angry because I want to explode. But because, and this is something I have to master, righteous anger. Because it's not toxic anger, because I'm not fucking angry. In other words, it's not affecting me. It's affecting you. And I get righteously angry because I know many people are suffering from the wrong content. Understand and study what a twin ray is. And you'll find that many of these content creators are spouting the truth of twin ray union, which has nothing to do with twin flames. Finally, I'm seeing them, some of them say the truth, but it's been a long fucking time coming, let me just say. Okay? Really important. And I am working on a book. I've started actually on this book, Starseeds, How We Fell to 3D. And it's really important because the way I fell wasn't the way you fell. And that, to me, is the epicenter of the answers I've been looking for personally to my own ascension journey. I needed to know why. And my story, my twins, happened in a weird way. It's very woohoo. But then again, as my guides say, who do you think was living these fucking realities? I mean, what do you think? It's just made up shit? Like everyone else but you? And I'm not talking about famous names, okay? It has nothing to do with fame at all. None of it. My ears are ringing as I say this to you. It has nothing to do with fame. In fact, most of us don't want to be famous at fucking all. Not in the past, not now, not ever. But the point is that some of the things that we experience in these ancient realms on planet Earth have been bastardized in ancient scrolls and teachings like the Book of Enoch, for example. That's been bastardized. And I can tell you, totally bastardized. It's always interesting to me how they look at how they bastardize Yeshua and Mary Magdalena. I mean, if you don't believe me on that, believe that. And this is smarter people than me and you combined that know this to be true. Okay? The Dead Sea Scrolls is the book. And that book was not released. It was found, depending on what you read, 1945 to 1947. Okay? So why would people hide that kind of knowledge if it wasn't dangerous for us to know? And they knew it was going to be destroyed. That's why why would they hide urns in caves in Egypt, Mount Sinai, thereabouts? That's bizarre, don't you think? And God knows there could be other, scrolls that we've yet to find. But I know part of the reasons why we know about Sappho, who was a Sapphic poet, meaning she came from the island of Lesbos, hence the word lesbian. She was a famed poetess in Greece, in the island of Lesbos. And the reason why we know she existed wasn't because we have her original works. That's why many of the translations are called fragments. It's because Cicero and other philosophers and statesmen and poets wrote and copied and quoted her. It's the only reason why we know she existed. So when I tell you shit, I'm not saying it to woohoo you. I'm telling you because over the years, over the decades of me reading all kinds of different content, from Jesus Lived in India and the Shroud of Turin to, the crystal skulls that balance the planet, to the Anunnaki stories of the Sumerian tablets, to, Graham Hancock. I mention the same names constantly because those are the guys kicking ass and taking names on revealing the truth about our making and how we souls came down here to start incarnating as humanoid, as Homo sapiens. That's it. That's that. And the truth about the 3D planet that I love, by the way, I had a session with Pachamama. And what I mean by that is I spoke to her. And some of you aren't coming back, and neither am I, until this planet is in 560. Some of us won't be here to see it go through its beautiful evolution out of 3D. And you got to admit, this is the most incredible, beautiful planet. I can't say enough about the beauty of this planet. And I was like apologizing, going, I never understood. It was the infrastructure. It was these bastards. It was the 1%. It was never you. You were never the problem. And once I released that into Pachamama, there was a sense of homesickness. The homesickness never ends. It shifts from one dimension to another, if that makes sense. It shifts from one dimension to another, if that makes sense. If you truly love the incarnations you've had, they've been hard, I know. Many of them in 3D planet Earth have been extremely unfair to you, to me, to people like us, to our twin. Why do you think your twin is addicted to shit? Why do you think your twin is on drugs, in alcohol, getting arrested? Because there's a part of that twin soul howling at the injustice of the system. And it becomes very self-destructive when it can't express itself or hear that it's not crazy. Imagine they just showed me a panther in a very tiny cage and you're prodding it with a stick. It's going to start fucking losing its shit in the cage. The cage is too small. It's constrained in a cage. And you're prodding it. The 1%'s prodding us, right? And the fucking panther is going to lose its shit. It's going to start rolling all over and snarling and attacking at anything trying to get out of the cage. And so what is the cage? The cage is this illusion that we are trapped by other forces and not realizing this is what makes you the divine feminine and masculine, and not realizing it is your monkey mind that is the cage. There is no cage, aka there is no spoon. And the definition of reality is something that is scientifically based. It is not woohoo, nor is it fucking new age, ancient wisdom. It's just reality. And what is the definition of reality? Listen to David Icke in his book Dream, chapter 1, my friends, chapter 1. And he goes into depth over that. Reality is what you accept and expect from the collective mindset. It's an agreement. It's an egregore. But he expounds on it much better than me, to be honest. But if you want, because sometimes I take out books and I start reading it to you, like I read the Emerald Tablet, Mind Power into the 21st Century, things of that nature, and other books. And what I'll do, if you want me to, is I'll be happy, very happy to start reading some of his books. But the reason why TikTok is shadow banning me to such a level, and I'm not victimizing myself, I'm telling you facts, is because me and Andromeda, when we're together, are talking about shit that is really real. And it's coming not just from us and our own experiences and our own downloads and our own meditations, not to mention the Akashic readings, hypnotherapy, which I share with you on clients, but it also comes from incredibly brilliant men and women who have been fucking banned off Instagram, off TikTok, off YouTube. For a reason. For a reason. Do you understand? The people that are easily accessible, ask yourself why they're so accessible. Why are they so prominent in your face? When a guy like David Icke walks the planet. What the fuck's going on? Why is Graham so prominent in your face? When a guy like David Icke walks the planet. What the fuck's going on? Why is Graham Thomas, or Hancock Thomas, why is Graham Hancock not prevalent on TikTok? He should be viral. The reason why Billy Carson is viral is because he's smart and he knows, and he probably has a PR team that's making sure he's going completely pumping the system of social media. Smart businessman, but also is hell-bent and has the energy of a younger man. Notice David Icke, Graham Hancock, these guys, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you're starting to see the little frosting in his hair. They're old. They're getting tired. It's exhausting to fight the machine. It really is. And so the Billy Carsons of the world, thank God, took on the baton and is kicking down doors. And he's in divine union. It looks to me, Elizabeth is his divine union mate. Looks like a twin ray. There you go. There's probably an example of that. I wouldn't be surprised. What you think is going on in the system. All I can say to you is this. I want you to understand what the journey is. What is a true twin flame? I have tons of content that you can look at. If you don't know what my dog looks like, you haven't scrolled down enough. I'm just going to be straight up. And if you actually like the picture of my dog or my cat Ian or my dog Misha, then I'll see you. You know that, right? I'll see all the videos. And DM me and tell me, what you think is going on in the system. Don't ask me a personal question, please. If you want a reading with me, just book a reading. A proper reading. But if you want to share with me your thoughts on what is going on and why twin flames have been attacked by the 3D 1% system, I'd love to hear it. I really would, actually. In fact, you know what? I just got the download. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I could read them too on the next live. Send me your thoughts, and I'll read it. I'll give you credit, of course. I would love to hear that, because I want to know, what do you see that I don't see? This is why these lives are so important to me, because I want to hear what you have to say, and really explorative thoughts that are like, you're looking at my stuff, you're looking at other things, you're looking at some of the guys I mentioned, and you come up with your own download of why are they doing that to us? Why are we such a threat to the 1%? Well, billionaires aren't supposed to be billionaires. It's an opportunity for them to actually right the wrongs. And so, but they're not. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might say, well, they earned their money. Yes, they did, on the backs of the many. And so when I look at billionaires, it is an opportunity for them to write checks, to start building tiny homes or for homeless communities, and not building these horrendous project apartments whose elevators never work, where women are pregnant going up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 flights of stairs with groceries and little thug boys. I've mentioned that before. That is by design. When you and I both know there's plenty of land on this planet, and we could actually set up little homes where people would have pride in little vegetable gardens. It's no more expensive than those awful, disgusting projects where nothing works. To change the planet, run free from this system that is abhorrent to all of us into a system of abundance for all, including your children. You want to have children with your twin? Yeah. Do you want to really leave them this planet, this system, this 1% system? I don't think you do. And so that's why we're all talking. And until people stop with the Ken and Barbie story, until people realize that some of you are twins and some of you are not. And when you realize the responsibility that has been given to many of us who are twin flames, twin rays, and so forth, you realize that the most of us we would have preferred an easier life, a life of comfort. And this was never meant to be a life of comfort. Why? Because this is an emotional shit show. Because you have to be transcendental in one end as you go through the dark night of the soul, and then go through the many games and trials and tribulations of you and your twin. 2, making it work in 3D, paying your bills, showing up to work, and still keeping it together. And if you have children, you really have to keep it together. So when you go through this trapezist reality, on one end you're transcendental, on the other you're living in boots on the ground reality of 3D, what it is to have the human experience, you can see why most people are fucking beaten to the ground. So these lives, these communities that I'm building with Andromeda Flame and that we build together, right, is meant to help you, support you. Does that make sense? So unfortunately, TikTok just cut off right there. And I'm being shadow banned. It's serious. So if you can share my TikTok videos and share my YouTube videos across your Facebook, your Instagram, your X, as much as you can, because what I'm saying is being shadow banned and cut, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't think what I'm saying is egregious in any way, shape, or form. I think I'm here to help people find their way. The Akashic recordings that I'm getting, these downloads that I'm getting, are very much an important aspect. It is the missing key to my ascension and to your ascension. I know where I'm going because of these experiences that I've had, and I want to share the pathway to your own ascension so that it's clear of as much debris and blocks and challenges that can be easily overcome through simple knowledge of the self. Know thyself, be true. Anyway, thank you for listening this far to this live. Sending you much love on your journey. I'm grateful for your presence and your support. Namaste. Be well.